Hello and welcome to my Duskmourn House of Horror review for cEDH. I shall be today your ghost with the most. Before we start, if it is not obvious, I am a huge horror fan, so not only do I love the aesthetic of this set in general, regardless of cEDH, but it is a set I've been looking forward to the most this year. Sure, I did not get a preview card unfortunately, but there is always next year. And you can help bring this channel to even greater heights by clicking that subscribe button. Look, it even glows when I say subscribe. Or it should, last I heard. Whatever. With those important messages out of the way, let's take a look what lies below the cellar door. And first I will group the next section of cards into one. These 5 new check or verge lands, I guess you could call them. We got Blazemire, Flood Farm, Gloomlake, Hushwood, and Forespire Verge. I guess we get the next set in the Death Ray set next year? Who knows? Now all these lands tap for 1 color, come into play untapped, and if you fulfill one of its 2 requirements they tap for the other color. So for example, Blazemire always taps for black, but if you got a mountain or a swamp that do not need to be basic lands, it also taps for a red. I am sure many decks, especially in 2 or 3 colors, will play at least one of these since we already run all the shocks and duels, and some decks even run the new surveil lands. And these types of lands make these lands active real easy. Also, they are way nicer than the ones that check if you control a land of that type to come in untapped, and I'm sure I want all of these in my collection, just in case. They're especially fun with Tainted Pact based mana bases. Now that we have seen the lovely sections of the house, yes, this set and plane are all in one beautiful house, and with that we come to Demonic Council, a sorcery for 1 and a black pip. People are surprised that pips are a thing? Since when? Anyways, Demonic Council has search your library for a demon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Delirium. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead, search your library for any card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. 1. Yes, this is a demonic tutor with a small restriction, but come on, Delirium is so easy to achieve in our format, just as any player that plays DRC, like, me, you can have Delirium in turn 1 in cEDH. And second, I think this can also join the big 2 mana tutors like Demonic Tutor and Diabolic Intent nice and easy, and sometimes you may just need to get a Razaketh anyways. Speaking of graveyard and stuff in it, let's look at Comeback Wrong. Another sorcery for 2 generic and 1 black pip with the text, destroy target creature. If a creature card is put into graveyard this way, return it to the battlefield under your control. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next instant. Look at me looping my or your dog side, yay! Or any other value creature may come to. The only thing slowing this down is that it's not an instant like Saw and Half, but they are not the same anyways. Don't think of this as removal, think of this as a Dockside clone. Literally, it's like a clone effect that removes the creature as a bonus effect, or as a bonus upside. Also, this can be used on other pieces like a Grand Abolisher to help you protect your win by stealing it from someone who played it and past turn. Or in a different format that I play these days, like Dual Commander, let me steal your Atraxa, the big one, the 7 mana one, or the Jeskai Aragon, because yes, this steals commanders. Your opponents can't put their commander in the command zone since the spell is resolving, and a commander being in the yard is a state-based effect to be put into the command zone, so the spell has to resolve. Funny thing, the more you play, the more you learn. I know you give it back at the end of the turn, but just win before that happens. Isn't that the popular cEDH statement? Just win? Let's move away from the black side of things and don our new red suit. I guess with Razorkin Needlehead. A human assassin 2/2 for 2 red pips with Razorkin Needlehead has first strike during your turn. Whenever an opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage to them. It's not a shield writ, but it's a nice effect that can be used by the lovely wheel decks like Brawling, Shabraz or Cyrus players. Tuck from Fit for a King may enjoy this very much among other cool people, right? Wait, you have not seen us play cEDH? Quick plug for me playing games with Fit for a King, and we came as Romans while reviewing a Duskmourn card. As far as the Needlehead is concerned, I'm not sure we'll see much playing outside of those decks, but I'm sure there are some possible shenanigans can be done. I leave this one to you, the wheelers and dealers, to let me know how we feeling about this. Let's stick with red for a moment and look at Untimely Malfunction, an instant for a generic in a red pip, and with the text, choose 1, destroy target artifact, change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. Sure, this is no Abrade, but for low cover decks the second ability of a redirect may be useful. The 1 or 2 creatures that can block don't have to be the same player, by the way. That may also come in handy. So, I am going to ask the age-old question, is this an Agila card? I think I still take a braid over this, but again, it may be mono red, this may be interesting. Not sure which mono red deck outside of like Urabrask maybe. I just knew the internet was abuzz when this was spoiled and wanted to make sure I mention it. I hear you ask for more brightness, but these are dark times, even if we are going to look at some white cards. Now, starting with Unwanted Remake. An instant for a single white pip with this your target creature, its controller Manifest Dread. Now, how does Manifest Dread work? That player looks at the top 2 cards of their library, then puts one onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature and the other one into their graveyard. If it's a creature card, it can be turned face up anytime for its mana cost. So it's like Reality Shift with just manifests, but it's also cheaper and in white. It can also mess with top deck tutor's by the ways, and yes, it's no Swords to Plowshares, but I think this will see decent amount of play. Sure, not being able to hit more permanent times is iffy, but we have that already. I'd rather play this over something like Path to Exile, because many decks still run basic lands and this can really help mess with someone. The 2/2 that remains, well, if it is something big that can't be cheated in, and if it had an ETB, flipping it won't trigger it, so I only see upside here. And also, come on, Manifest Dread sounds dope. Now, a quick remark, not all sets have to break cEDH, by the way. It is great to have fun cards to play in various formats, but sometimes a card can come along to give one deck a nice push, like the blue card, Leyline or Transformation. Now, like all Leylines, it has a text that you can put into play as a pre-game action if this card is in your opening hand, but let's take a deeper look. Leyline of Transformation costs 2 generic and 2 blue pips and states, as it enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Now, the reason I bring this up is Malcolm-Kedis especially, because changing certain creatures into pirates, like let's say Reckless Fire Reaver, just ends the game because Fire Reaver is now a pirate, and you play an artifact or make a treasure, you let loose a torrent of damage on your opponents and in the game? Sure, maybe other decks might like this, but I think Malcolm-Kedis needs some love. Don't you? Hence why I am bringing it up. I got you, folk. Speaking of stuff and cards, let's look at this beautiful funny toy named Marvin, Murderous Mimic. Also, am I the only one getting an OG Puppet Master vibes here? Anyways, Marvin for 2 generic mana is a legendary artifact toy 2/2 with this fun ability. It has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. Yay for singleton formats. Now, what does this do? Well, I guess everything. It's like a Necrotic Goose, but for your side of the battlefield. I am sure there are some busted things that can be done with this, a way smarter wheel than I have already found that for sure. My brain is just drawing a blank. But we'll just say keep a lookout for Marvin. Marvin might shank ya. Also, if a combo or combos exist, check out Commando Spellbook for sure for Marvin. Hashtag not sponsored. Now that we have looked at the main set, let's look at a few cards from the Commando product of this lovely release, because the art is just killer. The Master of Keys, a legendary enchantment horror for a black, a white and a blue pip and X, and it's a free with flying, and the text. When the Master of Keys enters, put X +1/+1 counters on it and mill twice X cards. Each enchantment card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. Escape for the new people here is casting them from the graveyard like Underworld Breach, but limited to only enchantments. And yes, I already fell in love with this commander. Easy infinite mana, mill your deck, reanimate Foracle with an enchantment and win the game. I'm already thinking of fun ways to build this and play. And you may have seen some conversation from around the web, but trust me, my version is a little different. You just have to wait and see if I do really build it, and when I actually play it. Subscribing helps for that. And finally we get Into the Pit, which also reminds me of Destiny the Dark Below, but yeah. Into the Pit for 2 generic and a black pip is an enchantment with. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, future side text. You may cast spells from the top of your library by sacrificing a non-land permanent in addition to paying their other costs. Sure, this does not cheat things into play, but have you ever tutored to the top of your library and wanted to cast it here and there? Now you can, and it is in black. What could possibly go wrong? Duskmourn had plenty of fun cards for many formats to show us, and in my opinion may have a chance to be played in cEDH, but most of them just barely missed the mark in my opinion, hence they were not mentioned here. But what about you lovely people? Have you seen any card you think you will see play that I did not mention here? Leave your top picks in the comments for others to see, and let's make it an interactive game for them. Also, if you made it this far and you enjoyed it, leave Duskmourn hype in the comments so I know, and thank you all for the support. I just got back from a long journey as I'm recording this and preparing for the pre-release I am doing this weekend for my local community. So remember, subscribe, check out my Patreon, leave a like, and as always, I am Def, and I will see you all behind the veil.